Decentralize all the things. Decentralize all the things.
Hey there! Welcome to the Web3 Summit Decentralize Now podcast series, hosted by the Decentralize All The Things podcast network. This series features discussions about decentralization from the 2018 Web3 Summit held in Berlin, Germany. This is episode 1, featuring Griff Green of Giveth.io. In this episode, Griff gives an overview of Giveth, a decentralized altruistic community using blockchain for social good to decentralize charity and the development of nonprofit projects. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoy the show.
Giveth is a community focused on blockchain for good. So we have lots of projects going on, but our main one is the dApp itself, right? The Giveth dApp. It's kind of like Bitcoin, where there's the Bitcoin network and the Bitcoin currency. We did the same stupid thing, and we named our dApp Giveth. Oops, But these are all, most of these projects that are on here are actually all different Giveth projects too, because we're trying to beta test our dApp by using it ourselves. And you can see there's actually a lot of people that are using our dApp right now. And the goal of the dApp is to bring transparency to nonprofit organizations and also to allow people to start a blockchain-based entity without having to incorporate legally in any way. They can have full transparency without actually a legal entity. And they can pay their people and they can do all these things. So it's pretty simple. We have... this is the campaign page. We also have communities, right? So you can start a community. Right now we're in closed beta, so you can't start a community because we have a lot of UI bugs that we're still working through. But we're starting to onboard nonprofits right now, and so you can start a community like the Oregon DAC, or this is a community started actually at EdCon for open source block explorers. And when someone donates to a community, they still have control of their funds, but delegate. Which right now, a delegate is just one person, but it's an Ethereum address, so later it can be a DAO, and that's what we're working with Oregon for. The delegate can then decide where to send their money, right? So you donate to Giveth, right? And then what you'll get right now I'm the delegate for Giveth, so when I say, oh yeah, I think it'll be really good in our governance campaign, right? You'll get an email that says, hey, your money's being moved to the governance campaign, right? So this is a little description, right? And here's the governance campaign. And if you say, well, like you'll get a link to this and you'll be like, what is this? Holacracy? Liquid democracy? I'm just not into that stuff, You can veto and you can say, I don't want my donation to go there. But if you don't say anything for 3 days, then it will go there. So you lose control of it, right? But you still get the traceability. So it goes to that campaign and then it can be actually paid out. So maybe, we have our Berlin Airbnb that we just paid. It was $3,000. Here's the receipt, right? And maybe somebody's milestone maybe someone's donation will go to pay this off. And they'll get another email that says, hey, this is where your money went, with a link to this. And they can see, oh yeah, here's exactly where my money went. It went to Yaler. And here's the receipt. Okay, that's what it did. And so you get this complete traceability to whatever granularity the campaigns would like. But let's say that Giveth goes rogue, and it's like I just decide to take over and like start buying drugs and hookers and shit like that. Well, my campaign will actually get canceled because there's a reviewer. And the money that hasn't been spent on hookers will go back to the people who actually donated it in the first place. So there's, with this opportunity, like if someone tries to start an orphanage, they raise $500,000, but then they can't get the permit for the orphanage, the money would go back to the donors who actually sent it there so that it can be reallocated to other projects, right? So that's how Giveth works. I can show like the creation of a milestone. It's pretty easy. Oh, look at Jordy. Hi, Jordy. But you have to be signed in. So when you get, if you go to beta.giveth.io, you can sign in or sign up, and we'll just do this. It's pretty easy. We actually run on Rinkeby, but it's bridged to mainnet. So this is kind of interesting where you donate Ether and it goes into a bridge contract, and then we create a token on Rinkeby and we do all of our transactions on Rinkeby where it's free. And then we, when the money actually gets paid out, we send a message to the bridge on mainnet and it sends out real Ether. And eventually, we want to, now that there's an open source block explorer, we want to start a POA network or some kind of sidechain that's not Rinkeby, so that we can move to that. But we figure while we're still playing with it, Rinkeby has Etherscan, and we really needed an open source block. We need a block explorer to do our testing. So that's why we went with Rinkeby. But yeah, so here, this is Kile. So. And, you know, you can put in an email so you can get all those alerts, you know? No, it's Kile. Dude, you don't know Kile? Come on. It's a common name. And you could add a picture and all this other stuff, but we'll just do it. And so this is actually sending a transaction on the Rinkeby testnet, right? But we're using it in production. And then now he should be able to... Oh yeah, and like we have complete transparency so you can see who actually sent the donations to each campaign. But I wanted to show how easy it is to create a milestone. So let's see. These are all the different projects that we have going on. Scaling Now, which is over. S Signals, which is actually now Tenegraph. Actually, we're just now starting a podcast for the network, which will be fun. And so, like, if Kile wanted to make a podcast, he could go here and propose a milestone. Be like, I want to make a podcast, right? And pretty soon, actually, Deem, where's Deem? There he is. Deem actually just added this really cool feature where you can, right now it's just, you can embed a video, but when you push that button, video pop-up will come up, so you can just push a button and actually record a video as your milestone. And then say, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to do a podcast on this and that. And, you know, I need like just probably $150 to like make it worth my time to do this and blah, blah, blah. And then submit. And the whole milestone will just be a video. You don't have to type any shit out. Maybe you have to type out a title, but that's it. Yeah. And then you just, you can choose different currencies. But of course, we always do the payouts in Ether. And in about a month, we'll have tokens integrated. The goal is DevCon, but we'll see. Software is tough. Yeah.
When do you plan to go live, like public type of, like moving on from the beta?
You know, it's really, I don't know that we'll go live where it's like totally permissionless and open for anyone to do it for a while. Mostly because I don't want people to get excited and be like, oh, I can start my nonprofit and do Ether. And then like, how do I do Ether? Like, I'm just a regular nonprofit dude, and we don't have the energy to do support and show people how to use Ethereum. So we kind of want to make sure that somebody has a level of like understanding that that they can back up their wallet and not lose money. Because our goal is to help charities. And it's not necessarily helpful if we let someone just dive in and then they spend all their time trying to figure out how do we do crypto, So it'll probably be like a year before it's just totally open. And we're kind of waiting for the rest of the world to catch up.
I guess for this like usability part, you can probably partner with other projects that are actually 100% focused on that, right?
Yeah, it's very likely that we'll have Coinbase plugins and we'll have different things that can connect straight to bank accounts and all of these things. But, first things first, we need to get the UI working in a real way. And we're probably going to do a big UX overhaul and just completely rewrite the UI once we have it working. And then, this is not a race. We don't have a token that we're trying to pump. We don't have something like, there's no, the goal of Giveth is to create DAOs for charity. So we have this going, and now we're going to start using Aragon, like the Aragon interface to create DAOs and see how that interfaces with this. Then we're going to do a big UX overhaul. And eventually this might even just become an Aragon app. But for now, it's really about experimentation and seeing what kind of decentralized organizations we want to play with. The one that I'm really excited about, actually, is this. I probably can't find it so quickly, but using a TCR, so like a token curated market. So we'll do like a token bonding curve, and then have a philanthropic investment. So people can send money to this contract, and the money stays in that contract, and they'll get tokens, but also a DAC, which is what we call our groups here, a decentralized altruistic community, will also get tokens. The tokens that the guy sends in will actually be locked for 6 months, but the tokens that go to this community will end up being able to be used. And anyone who has the tokens can then stake to decide which proposals should get passed. And they can delegate their stake. And it'll be really cool because the tokens will actually go up in value the more people that come in. So like it's kind of it's like a Ponzi scheme, right? But for charity. So like you send money in, and there's a token curve, and as more people put money in, then the price of the token goes higher. And so you can be like, oh, I want to, help children in India, but I also want to make money, so I'll buy this token, and then I get to decide also how the free money that's given to this community is spent. So that's the idea.
Yeah, I want to know how you protect identities, privacy, especially of those who are asking for, let's go fund me with crypto, because if they have to reveal either the smart contract or their private or their public key, etc., you're giving, I would say, some attack vector for anyone who is able to read and see how someone in need, someone who is looking for money or for funding, for support, is you're making themselves vulnerable in this regard.
Well, we don't do any KYC or any kind of things. Everything's pseudonymous. I mean, I just created an identity here. I am not Kile. I'm not. But he's Kile. So I did do it on his computer, though. So, but I could have put any name up there, and it's really just an Ethereum address. Of course, if you really care about privacy, you're going to need to know how to protect your privacy. Use some kind of mixer or ZK snarks eventually or whatever to get your ether without attaching it to your name. But then, honestly, we're not really. This discussion is happening later tonight, transparency versus privacy. We're going to have a 90-minute talk on that. So you should definitely come by. But we're more on the transparency side because this is nonprofits. So the nonprofits are held to a pretty high standard of transparency. We're not going to ask for any IDs, but that's how we do it. But yeah.
Exactly on that with the KYC. For people who are donating, depending on the countries you're coming from, either there's charitable donations, tax write-offs, whatever else have you. Without KYC, how does that happen?
So it's always optional. And if you're a nonprofit and you raise money here, you'll get to see exactly who sends the money, and it'll actually be really easy. It'll be really easy to kind of just send everybody an email with a tax receipt that show, oh, hey, the White Hat Group, if you want to get a tax deduction on this, then one button click, everyone gets their receipt for the year, and you can also have a little thing in the corner that says this is a registered nonprofit for tax deductions, and you can have that. It's of course an option, but we're really focused for now not on nonprofits. We're more on blockchain-based entities to make the scope small. But of course, we want people to be able to get tax write-offs.
You said you're not doing KYC. How do you, because that's a problem even for blockchain companies. They can't open bank accounts. When they get money given to them, banks won't open up a bank account. So are you going to do KYC, or is it just not done yet?
Anyone can create a KYC platform for this, and we probably will. But that's not, I don't care if they can't open a bank account. Who needs a bank account? You have an Ethereum address. And that's kind of the direction I'm pushing. So, but of course, that's not necessarily everyone's opinion in my team. I'm a crazy anarchist. So, I say fuck the banks. But actually, the DApp team is creating this as a white label. And so if Amnesty International just wants to take this code and launch it and do their own things, then they can build on top of it.
Thanks for listening. If you haven't already, please subscribe and give us a rating or comment if you enjoyed this content. This episode was brought to you by Santa and the unicorns at giveth.io. Remember, this podcast is made possible by the donations we receive from listeners like you. If you'd like to help support the podcast, you can do so by donating Ether at datpodcast.com. That's DATT podcast.com. Please check the show notes for more information. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, keep decentralizing all the things.